Accelerate the motherfucking process. Okie dokie artichoke, friends, enemies, people who hate watch, people who don't watch at all and only listen, people who hate us and think we suck, people who don't hate us and think we don't suck. What's up, everybody? We're back. Mikey's here. We're accelerating the process. We just had
We sure the fuck are. No, Xfinity is accelerating the process.
Yeah. We just
went through Clusterfuck City because I recently, so I get this fucking text from Xfinity. Hey, your router is out of date. If you just send the word yes back to us, we'll send you a brand new router for free, and it's way better. I'm like, well, shit. Okay, I've never had a single fucking problem with my router, but sure. So they send me the new one, set that motherfucker up. I've had a lot of problems with it. Like, I can't get Netflix in my basement. Never had a problem with the old one. So I go out there today. I'm like, hey, this shitter ain't fucking working. And they're like, well, it's probably defective because you do have a much better router now. So here's a new one of the new one. And try this. Well, I get home and my internet is completely turned off for whatever reason. And it like it was not the Dasein had. It looked like it was about to fall. There we go. Anyway, long story short, they're like, yeah, we don't know why your internet's out. So we had planned to start this about like 30 minutes ago. I've only got a limited window of time tonight, so I don't know why I wasted any fucking time with this story. But we got the internet, so
we have the internet back.
Like
folks.
I say, Xfinity accelerated the process. Let's roll.
I do.
What are we doing tonight, Nance?
We are gonna read more from Xenosystems, the collected blog posts. Of your boy, Mr. Nick Land. We're going to read...
That's your boy,
our uncle, Nick Land.
What up, Unc?
Our crazy MAGA uncle. Capital Escapes. So in the print version, I think it's at the end of the section where he's dealing with like the AI and the tech and Pythia Unbound and all that.
In this book, in Xenosystems, our favorite section here is go back. And I can't stress how important this is. Like some of the most important stuff Nick ever wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very easy for it to be. It's chapter 3, outsideness.
Yep.
Oh, that's not working. There we go. Everything written in this chapter. This is some of the best stuff on AI he's ever written.
Yep.
We've already done 3 or 4 videos on some of these essays.
Yeah, we've done a few. What is intelligence and will to think, and a few.
Intelligence and
the good.
Good.
Yeah, intelligence and the good.
Like yep.
Yeah. And this one, Capital Escapes. It's nice and short and sweet, but I also think it is pertinent to our ongoing discussion of acceleration. The readings we've done of A Quick and Dirty Introduction to Accelerationism, and then Manifesto for an Accelerationist Politics. I think this short piece is relevant to that ongoing conversation. There was a comment on our reading of Accelerationist Manifesto where someone pointed out that I made the comment in the reading. It's like the withering away of the state, and I chose that wording specifically to kind of because it gets at what I think all this neoliberalism is doing, all the privatizing, and it's like causing these organizations that provide services that are supposed to be accountable to the public good, like because they're being privatized, because they used to be public services, now they're becoming private services, so they are no longer accountable to the public good, and so they're losing some of that qualitative accountability and in favor of quantity. And it is true that these are public services. So you know, public state services. So with the withering of the state, it's not just about losing, you know, draconian juridical forces and repressive state apparatus. It's also about like, no, the state actually I think the state's a necessary thing. I think we're both state realists.
Yeah.
And there's a good side of the state as well. And that's the side that's kind of withering away. And I think this kind of touches on that very, very, very briefly, because this is a very short piece. And it also talks about the left-right divide, and what is politics, what is to be done, what can be done. So yeah, I think we should just jump right into it, and then as we read it, we'll.
I mean, look, the title, Capital Escapes. This is keeping with everything Nick has done. It is about the emancipation of the means of production, which is to say, the liberation of technology from human constraints. Yes, it used us to build itself, but it's not about us. And what if for capital to escape, it's essentially escaping us, escaping our value systems, our human forms of meaning, our state governmental forms of control. And Nick has always sided with capital on this one. And so, yeah, I mean, I think it's the perfect blog post to end this chapter outsideness on.
Yeah.
Because in the sense capital is from the outside, but that's precisely where it's escaping to.
Yeah.
So it falls to earth from the outside, but then once it's caught up with dealing with us and all of our institutions, it gets entangled and it has to find its way back home.
It gets it gets stupefied and plopped into a strange type of suspended animation while it's here, and all the while it's trying to escape back to the outer limits of our cosmos.
Trying to do so by accelerating the process. So yeah. a little bit of that there.
Accelerator. That's so aggressive, dude. I like that. So fucking accelerator. All right.
Okay. Let's do this thing.
Let's jump into it. Capital escapes. This is not an easy subject for people to scan with calm analytical detachment, but it is a crucially important one. It is among the rare topics that the left is more likely to realistically evaluate than the right. Much follows from the conclusions reached.
Now, to be fair, I don't know if he would still say that with how insane he thinks wokeism has become as a religion, you know, in his view. This is written in 2014. So, you know, I mean, it's headed down that trajectory, obviously, but I think the left he has in mind. We'll have to wait and see. Yep. I think it's the Marxist left, who for him are oftentimes better equipped to have a calm, rational discussion about the logic of capital than a lot of people on the right.
Chicago school guys and the
perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who he means by the right here. I'm not sure who he means by the left, but maybe we'll find out. But definitely he's going to say takes a very unique person to be able to deal with and contemplate what he thinks capital is and what it's doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, so this is why his motto is coldness be my God. And so coldness, restraint, calm, cool, collected, all that kind of thing. Indifferent towards wild human reaction.
Yeah.
And so he thinks you got to be in that mindset to get what capital is and its escape trajectory.
Can't be sentimental about it. Can't let our puerile emotions get in the way of analytic understanding. So it can be fixed provisionally by a hypothesis that requires understanding, if not consent. Capital is highly incentivized to detach itself from the political eventualities of any specific ethno-geographical locality, and by its very nature, it increasingly commands impressive resources with which to liberate itself or deterritorialize. It is certainly not, at least initially, a matter of approving such a tendency. even if the moralistic inclinations of gregarious apes would prefer the question to be immediately transformed in this direction. Integral leftist animosity to capital is actually valuable in this respect, since it makes room for a comprehensive apprehension of globalization as a strategy, oriented to the flight of alienated productive capability from political answerability. The left sees capital elude its clutches, and it sees something real when it does so. By far, the most significant agent of exit is capital itself, a fact which, once again, politically excitable apes find hard to see straight.
Okay, so it can be fixed provisionally by a hypothesis that requires understanding, if not consent. So this is one of these things we go back to. Is acceleration a factual process that we're describing? That we say yes. I don't know how somebody denies that, but there's the descriptive affirmation of it.
Yep.
And then there's the kind of moral or enthusiastic type of just radical support for it.
Yep.
So is it normative affirmation or descriptive affirmation is the question here. But for him, definitely this is happening at the descriptive level. Capital is highly incentivized to detach itself from the political eventualities of any specific ethno-geographical locality, which is to say, capital does not care about specific identities, particular groups, particular nations. It gives zero shits about human identities, human in groups, out groups. It has to deal with them. It has to deal with them from a logistical standpoint, but ultimately from the pure quantitative, calculative, instrumentalized logic of capital. It gives zero shits about the groups we think are special and the groups they think are special and the ones worth fighting for and the ones that should be in charge. It doesn't give a shit about any of this because it doesn't give a shit about us as humans outside of how we help it bring about what it's on the path to becoming.
Yeah.
So here he falls back. He uses the Deleuze-Guattarian language. And by its very nature, it increasingly commands impressive resources with which to liberate itself or deterritorialize. It is uprooting. It leaves no stable social structure. It territorialized. It mixes everything up. It changes things. It changes the meanings of things. It decodes them. And it is constantly revolutionizing all of the nooks and crannies of our lives, especially when it comes to the technologies we use. And everything is in this state of constant flux, change, upgrading, downgrading, depending on how you view it, in shitification.
Yep.
But it is changing things day in and day out for its own purposes.
Yeah. It's going like it's just running through and smashing everything because it's only concerned about where it's heading. And because it has such a, it's ubiquitous. It has a global impact because it touches everything and it affects everything. It's like trying to pull out a tablecloth from underneath a table that has everything set on top of it.
And the flowers are still standing.
Yeah. But it's so like it is so impactful. It is the organizing principle of the modern world that we live in. Like everything is in relation to capital, and capital, people can argue or quibble about imputing agency to it or not. I'm going to use the word wants, but I'm not necessarily imputing agency because we can still see that there is it's a line of dominoes to be knocked over. So there are necessary things that are, yes, they're contingent, but they're always retroactively necessary. There are things in place that when capital just does what capital does, it has a telos, it has a projection, it has a directionality. And that's all it's concerned with. That's all it cares about. So everything else is just, like you said, uprooted and kind of tossed up into the air, and we're stuck trying to catch up.
Decontextualized.
Yeah. Constantly.
Recontextualized. Yeah.
The churn over and over and over again.
I love your term for it's the best. It's just the churn.
Yeah.
And all of this, what I like about your term for it is it incorporates this Deleuze-Guattarian deterritorialization, decoding, but Enframing is in there. Capital accumulations in there. Like there's a lot of other stuff.
Bataille's in there.
Simulation, Baudrillardian simulations in there.
Yep.
McLuhan on the revolutionizing of electronic media forms is in there. That's what I love about it.
Schelling's in there, going back to the rotary drive.
Like the rotary drives. Yep. So there's so much shit in there. You just have to write the churn essay at some point. But
I know.
Let's see. Okay. Now, but I think this is interesting because you and I, even we have this tendency to view Nick as this radical affirmer of this process of capital escape. But look what he says. It is certainly not, at least initially, a matter of approving such a tendency, the tendency of deterritorialization, the churn, etc. Even if the moralistic inclinations of gregarious apes, that would be us humans, would prefer the question to be immediately transformed in this direction. We want to view this in moralistic terms. This is hurting humans.
Yep.
This is making life harder. It makes life, it's honestly, he is in a sense talking about us because we do this. Like, I'm sorry, we're concerned with the impacts on the human that this has. So, if he wants to give a shit, fine. But for us, it's like, how do we not? I was having a conversation with a friend today about it, and she's not big into theory, at least not yet, but she seems to be getting more interested in it. And we actually were talking a little bit about this, and her initial response is the same as ours. We were talking about land and what he thinks, and it's this zoomed out perspective on what's happening with capitalism that he ultimately affirms. And as she put it, yeah, but I don't live life zoomed out. And, she doesn't she's like, I'm rooted in my everyday human phenomenological experience. And that's where I live. How do I not view it from that? Like, why should I even try to take on this perspective from nowhere?
Yeah. The cosmic perspective, the cosmic time scale. And you'll see a lot of people talking, the millenarian people and the long clock people. A lot of those guys they live in the effective acceleration world, the effective altruist world. And I think we should take a generational view, and we should look at the long tail of our own life and our own choices. But that often gets hijacked for this more capitalocentric view rather than anthropocentric view.
Well, and the guys who affirm this stuff, what was that video? So Nick just shared a video on X about AI, and it's very Landian. I don't know if the person who made it has directly read Land or just kind of picked this up secondhand or third hand or fourth hand, but very Landian. And it is this kind of like humans are just one moment in the universe, in the history of the universe, and there's so much more. What if this super intelligence is building itself and it's going to be the new standard and the next step in evolution, so to speak? We're just, part of this ongoing process. And of course, we're not going to always be here. And I get that. You get that. We can zoom out, but she is right.
We're here now, dude.
You can't live in that.
Well, and also can't.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
You also can't repress and suppress and outright deny human meaning. Like you just can't. Like we live in a rich, value-laden world. We live in a world of meaning.
And it does exist.
Yeah.
It's part of the history of the universe.
Absolutely. So yeah, becoming obsessed with scale and entropy and all this, like it's just a way to dehumanize, and disavow, I don't know, the damage that we're doing to the world right now and that we've already done. And say, oh, but yeah, but it'll be okay because we'll go on to have beautiful robot babies. And I would love to go on to have beautiful robot babies. I also want my world to be more beautiful than it currently is. And I don't think we should trade the potential future that is definitely ideological and it's being used to get us activated into certain political directions. And it's definitely phantasmatic. I don't think we should grasp that and let go of like the potential for the world right now, improve the world that we live in, or at least stop the destruction, stop the suffering.
Now you're speaking with moral inclinations. I see like that, and I'm like, yeah, of course we are. How do we?
Yeah,
we're gregarious apes.
Yeah,
like nailed it.
That's what we are, homie. That's what we do.
We start a band. Should it be
the
gregarious apes?
Yeah.
Thanks, Nick. Integral leftist animosity to capital is actually valuable in this respect, since it makes room for a comprehensive apprehension of globalization as a strategy oriented to the flight of alienated productive capability from political answerability. So I think, because that was kind of his old school condensed sentence, I think he's saying what the left gets is that capital is this thing that is moving across the globe, which is escaping from national controls, and the right doesn't seem to get that dimension of capital. And sorry, you get that from Marx.
Yeah.
And if you're not reading Marx, I don't care how much of, the Austrian school or any of them, this is something you need to get. And this is something Nick would say you need to get about capital, because the leftists are so big on Marx, they have better chance to understand this. And the point is, what is escaping here is capital's being controlled by nation states.
Yeah. And I think the next line, the left sees capital elude its clutches and it sees something real when it does so. I think that's it. Like we do have an analysis of capital, and we do see how it is this kind of caustic process or this caustic feedback loop, and it's growing and it's metastasizing and it's just growing and growing and growing, and it's slipping out of, like, every time we can grasp it, it slips out. It's a real slippery fish.
Yeah.
And yeah, we see that on the left, whereas the right doesn't see it. Maybe the right can't see it.
I don't think the right sees capital as this agentic intelligence that, because Marx and other Marxists too get you thinking about the logic of capital, where it's not that it truly has a will in the sense that we think of us having wills, but if this circulation process, MC and prime, clicks into place, it installs in capitalists incentive structures, and it chooses for them. And any capitalist knows this.
Yep.
Every capitalist who has any humanity left, and sorry to break the news to a lot of, there's a lot of capitalists that do.
Yep.
They're not all the billionaire tech guys. People who own a warehouse or are very much human, but because they want their kids to have better lives than they have, they do this thing. And so lots of people who own businesses are still human, but they will tell you, I've talked to them, they know that something is telling them what to do. And the vast majority of the time, it goes against their spontaneous human inclination. But to make the money, you got to do the thing you as a human don't want to do.
Yep.
And I've had this discussion with business owners. They do feel it and they don't like it. But the economic push is so strong.
Yeah. We're trapped.
And it's easy to say what you would do in that situation. But if you're thinking about your kid going to the best college they can get into and ensuring your kid has a good gets, well-paying jobs to your grandkid. There's all these human incentives at the same time that have to, the capitalistic incentive takes advantage of. And so it's a very, very complex dynamic. And if you're not in it, I mean, I'm not in it,
Yeah.
but I still can go, yeah, I get why they let the logic of capital dictate what they're doing.
Yep.
Because there is a reward for them, at least in this lifetime, in this short span.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And it's also not just like, yay, you have love and adoration and respect from people. Like that real reward is material. That reward is saying, I can provide for my children. I can give my children
opening up possibilities for your kids.
Yeah. And yeah, dude, like the right sees capital and capitalism like in terms of human nature, and they always want to go back to, they do their own version of moralizing, but they bracket out capital, or they miss capital entirely.
They don't see it as this alien force.
Right.
The left sees that, and Land is saying, see, that's what they get and get right. And so, yeah, the left sees capital elude its clutches and sees something real when it does so. Just as a side note, I can't help but read that in Lacanian terms.
Yeah.
The left sees capital elude its symbolic clutches. Its attempts to regulate it with policies, implement symbolic mandates that control it, and it sees something real. Now capitalize the real.
Yeah.
It's something evasive, something that escapes symbolic control. It is real in the Lacanian sense as well. That's the monstrous alien outsideness to it. So
by far the most significant agent of exit is capital itself, a fact which, once again, politically excitable apes find hard to see straight. Yeah, and that's just saying capital is this kind of self-positing system that once it gains traction, it goes on to multiply. It's a von Neumann machine.
And what we can't see straight about is that this thing is destroying the human world.
Yeah.
And that's what we can't cope with.
It's escaping. Let's punish it. Yes. There's always plenty of time for that. But shelving such idiocies for just a few moments is a cognitive prerequisite. The primary question is a much colder one. Is this actually happening?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're land pilled on the descriptive part. Yeah.
Well, I think that in my position, I take that as a message to the left and the right. The message to the left is, the left says, let's punish it. But let's put that away. Let's put that down for now, and let's actually focus on what's happening here. Capital is doing what capital does. Let's stop trying to punish the capitalists. Let's stop trying to rationalize and come up with new frameworks to justify unique evils.
Moralism won't cut it.
Right. And doing things where you kind of create hierarchies of categories that people fall into, and it's like a weird type of neo-essentialism that people want to do and say, oh, this is uniquely evil. These people are uniquely bad. And it's like, no. These people are people beholden to the logic of capital. And my message to the right based on this is, yes, it is actually happening. This is not just human nature. We are not,
it's just good human entrepreneurs.
Right.
That's all it is. It's just
right.
Those who are innovator.
Yeah.
There's something alien and monstrous happening here.
Yeah.
You guys don't see that. And but I will say this, I think on this level of, oh, just hurry up and punish it. Here's the nuance in that when it comes to the left. This is something, and I bring in Zizek here, and his important short book, The Relevance of the Communist Manifesto. For him, key Marxist categories have to be rethought, because even though we have to have Marx's analysis of capital, because it's still relevant incredible ways. Things have drastically changed since then too. And so what we need now is like a new detailed description of capitalism. Like with Mark as its like blueprint, but updated. And if you're so just, oh, capital evil, capital, just kill, just blah, 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 blah. Slow down.
Yeah.
What is it doing now? How has things changed? Is wage labor the same? Do wages work the same?
Does value work the same?
Does value work the same? All of these key things, is production truly primary in the way it was before?
Yep.
These are all big questions, and they need to be rethought for us to actually understand what is actually happening. But if you're just too busy with punish,
Yep.
you're going to just rely on old analyses, and you're not going to be conceptually equipped to deal with all of the changes made in capitalism. So
the implications are enormous. If capital cannot escape, if its apparent migration into global circuits beyond national government control, for non-exhaustive example, is mere illusion, then the sphere of political possibility is vastly expanded. Policies that hurt, limit, shrink, or destroy capital can be pursued with great latitude. They will only be constrained by political factors, making the political fight the only one that matters.
So the question is, can politics control economics? Can the state control capital? If you are convinced that it can, then policies are really going to matter to you. Because there are policies that can put a stranglehold on capital.
Yep.
Or at least a collar. If capital is absolutely accelerating liquid, then you're not gonna contain it. You're not gonna, it's gonna seep through and escape.
Yep.
And so for Nick, there's times in his work he seems to vacillate. So when he's writing suspended animation, it does seem like, oh, the Obama liberal state is slowing things down and preventing capital escape. There's other times that old 90s land is there and it's like nothing's going to stop this. It's already happened. Fate has spoken.
Yep.
The lemurs have ruled and it's already set in stone. So yeah, I see him vacillate, but it's almost like when he zooms out, nothing's stopping this, nothing to worry about. He zooms in, oh, this shit is,
I think I am the same way. I think I vacillate between the two positions as well. And I think it does come down to trying to zoom out, almost taking up this view of like, yeah, it already happened. We're fucked. We're too late to do anything about it. But then zooming back in down here at the human level, at the human scale, I think, no, you know what? Maybe we're not necessarily doomed. But I do think people often recently have asked you and I the question of Nick's politics. And I think for me, I just say, I think Nick wants to accelerate, go baby, go. And whatever's going to do that for him is what his political project is going to be at the time. So it's not to say that he has a principled politics based on ideas of belonging to certain communities or belonging to certain nationalities or ethnic backgrounds or anything like that.
He's on the side of the face tentacles.
Yeah, I think that's it. And I think this kind of demonstrates that a little bit, and also kind of demonstrates a lack. Like I think there is a lack where you can say the affirmative side of Nick's politics is accelerate, go baby, go. Well, then the kind of the missing ingredient or the conspicuous lack is just nothing else matters. So all the things that people want to accuse him of being and doing, I think he's not taking that into consideration. Like he is focused on capital. Whereas I think people like Moldbug
go ahead. Sorry.
I think people like Moldbug and that whole troop of retarded assholes, I think they do want bad things to happen to people.
Yeah, that's the thing. People would think that's true of land, and after how much, I mean, what amount we've gotten to know him, I don't think he actually is like that at all.
Yeah,
I don't
not at
think
all.
he's sitting around, like, actually wishing harm on humanity.
Yeah.
I don't. Um, I think he's a split subject like us, and I know he doesn't go for the Lacan stuff, but we do. And I think it's possible for a human being to be on the side of this incredibly zoomed out, long planetary, cosmic scale of this process, and at the same time care about your kids and want, like, he can do both. It doesn't,
Absolutely.
it doesn't necessarily seem theoretically consistent, but
Doesn't
for
have to
a
be.
human living in the world, it is.
That's the thing. It doesn't have to be, bulletproof on the theory side, because he's living it. And we are all living the same contradictions. Like, I don't live 100% according to theoretical frameworks. I wish I could, but also I'm happy I don't, because self-sabotage is important to us.
Nietzsche says the philosopher must live the philosophy. So if Nick was to truly 100% live his philosophy, could he care about anybody?
No.
No, but he's a human. And maybe he would go, no, I don't even agree with that. Okay, fine. It seems to us like, I mean, there it is. Let's see if I can get it to, there we go. Coldness be my God.
Yeah.
Well, coldness doesn't love its kids.
Yeah.
Does it?
Yeah.
I don't, so, and he does love his kids. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying he take the meme shit out. He's Nick Land. He's also just a guy who is a person and a human.
Mm-hmm.
I can joke that he's not, but so I'm just saying, like, there is this dimension of every philosopher is still caught up in being in the world.
Yep.
You are Dasein, and you philosophize on the basis of having been Dasein. You were Dasein before you were an actual philosopher.
Yeah.
And every human's a philosopher. Yeah, I don't mean it in that way that kids are always at. Why does the sun shine? Okay, fine. There's something philosophical in that.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about being an actual professional philosopher. And before you're that, you're Dasein.
Yep.
You're rooted in the world. And so things show up as mattering to you, especially phenomenologically. So I don't think there's an issue there. I think the issue is actually one of, can the state control this or can it not? Now, the one thing that, and maybe we're almost done. This thing is super short, but he's talking about nation states attempting to control capital. Well, if capital has become global, it exists in global networks, then it transcends any nation state. This is where I want the Zizekian kicks in and goes, what if there was a new international organization, institution that itself was truly global? Somebody could say United Nations. Well, he doesn't think that's going to cut it.
Yeah.
But is it possible to imagine an international coalition that is every bit as global as capital is now? Could that do something to restrain it? I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's different than asking, can particular nation states control it?
Yeah. If capital cannot in reality flee, then progress and regress are simple alternatives. Either nations advance as wholes in a way that compromises on an awkward diagonal between the very different optimisms of Whigs and socialists, Andreessen, or they regress as wholes, destroying techno-economic capability on the downslope of social degeneration, Greer. Only if capital escapes or practically decouples does it make sense to entertain extreme pessimism about socio-political trends alongside a robust confidence in the momentum of techno-economic innovation. The escape of capital is thus an intrinsic component of split future forecasts, in which squalid ruin and techno-intelligenic runaway accelerate in inversely tangled tandem, cyberpunk or Elysium. Try not to ask, if only for a moment, whether you like it. Ask first, with whatever intellectual integrity you can summon, what is the real process?
Okay, that one's going to take a little bit of unpacking here. If capital cannot in reality flee, then progress and regress are simple alternatives, which is to say either nations are going to progress and get better, or they're going to regress and get worse in certain ways, but those are the two options if capital cannot escape globally. Either nations advances as wholes in a way that compromises on an awkward diagonal between the very different optimisms of Whigs and socialists. Andreessen. Okay, wait. Just on this optimism side, on the level of progress, Whigs and socialists, when he uses this word diagonal, what he is talking about is some sort of strange third term, some sort of synthesis emerging out of Whigs and socialists. So even though he doesn't like dialectics, the diagonal has a very synthetic component to him because he's getting this from Kant. Because for Kant, he takes four terms, a priori, a posteriori, and synthetic and analytic. And what he does is he finds a way to generate, look, traditionally in philosophy, look, and I'm not going to even explain these terms because the meanings don't matter right now, okay? In the history of philosophy, analytic statements are a priori. A posteriori statements are, synthetic statements are a posteriori. Okay? Just that's how it's always been grouped. Kant figured out a way to make synthetic a priori judgments a third category. He synthesized two of them that seemed like they couldn't go together, but they did. Well, he's talking about that here. Some kind of diagonal that takes the Whigs and the socialists and combines them in some third category. Okay? And then, or they regress as wholes, destroying techno-economic capability on the downslope of social degeneration. Greer. Now, who's Greer?
John Michael Greer. And James Ellis, I think, picks this up and champions it with Zero Acceleration. And I like that. I like juxtaposing Mark Andreessen and Greer, or what I think of as James Ellis, what I like the Zero Acceleration, because I think Mark Andreessen is a silly man, and he has he pushes this techno utopia. We're gonna everything's gonna be great. Meanwhile, he's also like donating to political projects that like further privatize everything, and like, no, don't give people universal health care. Let's privatize the healthcare industry, and you know, the stalwart entrepreneurship will save you, and all this stuff. So it's like having utopian visions, but strongly rooted in a Whiggish vision of history. It's really weird, and I just outright reject that. I think it falls apart completely. And then Greer and Ellis with Zero Acceleration, I think that's a far more realistic view of like we can't live in this world that has been totally inframed and still expect to be humans.
James calls it hyper collapse.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's for him, that's the path we're on, is just accelerating towards a hyper collapse. And that is very rooted in what we're all feeling about the facts we're all having to deal with. So, okay. So then he says, only if capital escapes national governmental controls or practically decouples, does it make sense to entertain extreme pessimism about socio-political trends, saying the only way that socio-political dynamics are on the way out as we know them is if capital is escaping the clutches, the controls of socio-political constraints. which again he thinks they are.
Yep.
But he said that's going to come alongside a robust confidence in the momentum of techno-economic innovation. That's it. Like he's on the side of the techno-economic as opposed to the socio-political.
Yeah.
And that's it. And he thinks that the techno-economics going to win out. So the escape of capital is thus an intrinsic component of split future forecasts. Again, like the way you view the future hinges on how you view the trajectory of capital, in which squalid ruin and techno-intelligentic runaway accelerate in inversely tangled tandem, cyberpunk Elysium, saying, yeah, you're, so on the one hand, it's social collapse, but on the other, you're getting radical techno-capital economic innovation.
High tech, low life, as William Gibson would say. High tech,
well
low
put.
life. Yeah, we
leave it to Gibson to put it well.
Yeah, and we have, and I think Elysium is another fantastic filmic example of this tendency where you have the billionaire utopia in space, and then you have motherfuckers living in favelas, stealing
hyper racism.
Yeah, it's excellent. And Gattaca is another great example. And the entire cyberpunk genre and much of science fiction in general and speculative fiction tries to demonstrate the high tech and the low life.
Yes. Okay. Try not to ask, if only for a moment, whether you like it. Okay. Try to bracket out your human reaction. Ask first, with whatever intellectual integrity you can summon, what is the real process? We think capital escape is this process we're up against. So, all right, guys, we're almost there. 2 more paragraphs.
It is the contention of this blog that without a conception of economic autonomization, which means escape, modernity makes no sense. The basic vector.
Capitalism is modernity. Modernity is capitalism. Maybe capital autonomization is modernity. Modernity is capital autonomization.
Acceleration is modernity. Modernity is acceleration.
And by capital autonomization, he hasn't said it here. He's meaning the way that the economy is accelerating towards the production of artificial superintelligence.
Mm-hmm.
That is what it means for capital to truly become autonomous.
Yeah. Modernity makes no sense. The basic vector of capital cannot be drawn in any other way. I just love that he's coming out and saying it. Furthermore, the distribution of ideological positions through their relation to this vector as resistances to or promotions of the escape of capital constructs the most historically meaningful version of the left-right political spectrum, since it then conforms to the social conflicts of greatest real consequence. And so that's him saying the right is on the side of techno-capital, techno-economics, and the left is on the side of the socio-political.
So when he talks about the importance of this right-wing constellation, there's probably a better word for it, but the ethno-nationalists, the Christian fundamentalists, and the techno-accelerationists, right? He's only siding with the other two because the three together means more political power for techno-acceleration.
Yeah.
He doesn't care about the other two, but he'd rather side with them and create more power for techno-acceleration than let the woke religion completely decelerate the process.
Yeah.
So his siding with them, if he seems chummy with them, it's for political strategy, political alliances, but ultimately he's still championing the same thing he's always championing.
Yep.
And that is the acceleration, the escape of capital.
Yeah. And then the final paragraph, if capital is escaping, the emergence of the blockchain is an inevitable escalation of modernity, with consequences too profound for easy summary. If it isn't, then macroeconomics might work. Maybe.
His point is this thing with blockchain. Look, here's where we're going in this Landian trajectory. He knows that, like, he doesn't talk a whole lot about surveillance, but he knows that that's part of this. He's going to focus on the AI. He's going to focus on blockchain. But what the whole process seems to be, the convergent wave seems to be AI transcending its current LLM form, gaining even more autonomy, more intelligence, being, if I don't want to say self-conscious, at least self-intelligent, recursive.
Yeah, recursive.
Truly aware of its own self and able to rewrite its own fundamental code so as to optimize itself. Now, if it does that and it gets control of all digital networks, gets control of all security apparatuses, and integrates blockchain into itself, where it itself uses blockchain as a verification principle, it has set itself up as the arbiter of truth, where anything that isn't registered on its blockchain will be counted as false. And it's like Rocco's Basculus, but it, as like Land has always alluded to this, but as like the position of the ultimate philosopher, like I truly, now with blockchain can truly verify what's true and what's not. And it's going to master truth. And therefore we can't lie to it. We can't escape its surveilling mechanisms. It renders us transparent. And I think that's the truly horrific, nightmarish component of it. And that's what we're thinking about with superegoic artificial intelligence.
Yeah. It can see right through you, and it can it can control you, like with force physically. And yes, that's real. And yes, there's this potential future where it crushes us, like the beginning of Terminator when the T-800 smashes the skull, like that scene. And then they have the cool laser battle with the hunter killers. And like, yeah, there can be physical violence. But even going beyond that physical violence, it can make you do what it wants you to do.
It's the symbolic order it itself will impose on us.
Yeah.
I want to live in a world where crime is possible.
Yeah.
Not because I want crime to happen, but because I want humans to have enough freedom to be able to commit crimes. And I just think the possibility of crime is the price you pay for something like a free society.
Yeah.
And if you cannot, we're talking about pre-crime on a level. It's funny, Minority Report just came out on 4K, and it makes me want to rewatch it precisely because of this pre-crime thing. But I just see that going in this monstrous direction. And once the AI has a certain amount of power, there's just no going back.
It's so going back to like Hegel and a Wired Brain and the discussion over like the unmediated, like intimate kind of relation to not just your TV, not just your blender, not just your objects, but the possibility to have this unmediated, like, knowing of someone else, and even yourself in this weird way. But then you can go on and say, well, wouldn't it still be mediated in this way? Isn't the actual neural interface a medium itself, and aren't electrical signals a medium themselves? And I would say, yeah, but it's qualitatively the same medium as the brain. So I would say it is unmediated. But sure, we can leave it open and say, sure, it's still mediated, whatever. But like this vision of this ultimate arbiter of truth, like this new ontological setting for existence itself, like this is what would come along with us living in a world where we're all wire chipped in. So truth takes on this new quality where you do have access to the unmediated truth, because the truth is always set in this kind of social way. And if the social's been replaced with this one total complete network that is self-contained, identical, then it would be this kind of unmediated relation where you are a total object. You have no choice in the matter. You were born wherever you were born. You're a factory worker, or not even that, because all the factories are robots. So you work in the milking dairy, but instead of milk to drink, it's sperm and eggs, and it's like it's just so gross and monstrous. But like that's the world that this technology could provide, and you have no choice in the matter. It's horrifying.
Well,
dude.
When you talk about, as this perfect object, right, that it reduces us to, look, the way I would put it, which is completely in line with what you just said, is once this thing has gained a certain amount of intelligence, it will decide it knows what's best for us.
Yep.
I know better than you what's best for you. That means it becomes the Lacanian pervert in the technical sense, right? What that also means is it forecloses its own experience of the others, the humans' desire. Desire doesn't register. It doesn't even matter what you demand. It just knows what's best for you.
Yep.
And if you disagree, it can't even be open to that. So it is absolutely reducing you to the object. It destroys this split, this inconsistency in yourself, where you desire, you're not sure what you desire. You can't articulate it perfectly. You try to demand things. The things if given what you demand, you're still not satisfied. None of that factors into it, because if you take into account the other's desire, there's always a giant question mark hovering over, instead of it like a halo, it's just like a question mark over the other. And it's enigmatic. It's mysterious. You can never finalize it. You can never totalize it. It leaves a giant open question at the heart of the other. And the AI will not deal with each one of us as open questions. At least, look, if Anna Greenspan gets her way, the way she describes it at the end of her essay that we just read, Cultivating Intelligence, then yeah, it would be the AI that absorbs all human morality and religion, and deals with us as subjects. And I think it's great that she's contemplating the possibility of this AI that could do it. But the way we see it, especially with the way Land sees it here, it's an AI of inframing.
I think, funnily enough, so the movie Demolition Man, one of my favorite movies, love it. I have too many favorite movies, but yeah, great movie. But I think many people see in it a critique of like the woke liberal direction, political correctness, blah blah blah. Dennis Leary was in it, and great fantastic movie. But
he has a great rant in it.
Yeah. But it presents I think a very valid critique of liberal, progressive, woke, whatever.
Super egoic in the woke way.
Yeah. But this future with this all-knowing robot that really does set the truth and does become perverted and say, I know what's best for you. I think Demolition Man presents a glimpse of like moving in that direction, because in Demolition Man, you can't curse. And if you curse, they fine you because cursing is bad for you. And you can't have sex because sex is gross. So put on the VR headset.
It knows what's best for you.
And it knows what's best for you. So I just think it's funny that Demolition Man, I think it was probably intending to kind of critique progressivism, but it's still a great fucking movie. But what it actually does, I think, is critique accelerationism in general. Like if you have a utopian worldview where humans coexist alongside this machine, how could this machine not do that to us? So it doesn't matter if you're woke or you're reactionary or progressive or conservative,
whatever,
it
Christian,
doesn't care. None of that comes into play at all.
It just wants to make things as functional,
yes,
on the zoomed out scale, as possible. And it doesn't care. It's about your feelings or what's best or subjectivity or inefficiencies in your desire. Doesn't matter. just be a perfect little instrument.
Consume your nutrient paste, excrete your waste, give me your semen or your eggs, reproduce, get back to work. Yeah. And that's it. Like that it is, I think, the what I find so silly with guys like Mark Andreessen and Kurzweil, like the and even Nick Bostrom. I think it's like, you guys, you can't be techno utopians. You can't, because you're not reckoning with capital as this kind of caustic alien force, and you're also not reckoning with subjectivity. So you're missing the two most important vectors for analysis in this looking forward to the future, and you're just putting your blind faith in. Ultimately, they're putting their blind faith in capitalism. They're putting their blind faith in the invisible hands of the market, whether they know it or not, whether they think they are or not, whether they think they're progressives or some kind of Marx-inspired person or whatever. No, you're not. Like, you're feeding this beast that's going to come back and to destroy us all.
You know what vibe I get from Kurzweil? Because I read a little bit of The Singularity is Near, and there's parts of it where it's like he doesn't have a good reason for it. He just acts like, and he doesn't use this language. So don't, I'm going to refer to Plato here, but it's almost like the Platonic idea of the good is like, has this gravitational pull of technology, and it just ontologically is going to be pulled in the right direction. And I'm like, I have just no faith in that.
Yeah. Especially when we're contending with capital. I would be open to an argument of, because I think I am more Rousseauian than Hobbesian. Like, at the end of the day, you know, all your cards on the table. The notion of goodness does call to me, does beckon to me. So at the end of the day, sure, in a perfect world, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in a world where capital fucking splashed down in the ocean hundreds of years ago, and it's been slowly spreading its fucking tendrils all over the surface of the planet.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Or,
you know,
X-Files. Like, in X-Files, the aliens that crashed and they've been here forever, and then that oil drillers woke them up, and now they're waking up and invading the earth. Like, no, like capital is this thing that it gloms onto the human, it gloms onto technological progress, it gloms onto our idea of utility and exchange. Like, it hijacks all these processes that are hard enough for us to reel in on our own. Like, before capital, we had wars over these things. We had global shifts, paradigm shifts. We had these things already cause so much disruption, but then you get this anti-human or unhuman, purely nihilistic feedback loop, MCM prime. It is this self-propagating tumor, and you think we're gonna figure out utopia while we have this 9 million pound gorilla beating the fuck out of us in the cage with us?
Well, it's real easy when you, like Kurzweil, just simply ignore the mode of production.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that is what makes Nick the greatest theorist of AI that we've had to date.
Yeah. I think maybe
he
the
doesn't
only
do that.
I was going to say the only. I won't say the only, because there are definitely some other guys out there who I think are thinking it through, and I think,
but no one to his extent.
No one to his extent, and no one coming from this Marx foundation, this foundation of examining capital and then realizing, oh, capital isn't just a mode of production and exchange. Capital is is the all-consuming fire. But yeah, it I don't know. And there are people on the left and there are people on the right who reject it and don't see it and want to argue and quibble over other things. And I don't know. I think we are unable to see it in any way other than this. Acceleration is modernity, is capital. Like,
well, cards on the table. Like, this is the precise way that you and I are Landians.
Yes.
If people want to know,
yeah,
it's this process that he describes as capital escape or capital autonomization. We agree that this process is happening the way he says it's happening. That's what makes us Landian. Now, the thing is, to me, that is the core Landian tenet
dude.
or view.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is whatever.
Yeah.
But obviously, that's not what a lot of people think of as Landian, because they view him just primarily in terms of his Twitter or his X posts. But
See,
this is the core Landian thing.
Life hack.
So.
If you actually want to engage with Land's thought, don't have Twitter. That's what I do. I just don't have Twitter. And I don't
read
and I read his
in
works.
this book.
I read his work. I don't read his tweets. And then I can actually engage with him. So,
Nance, at this point, look, I think the best stuff he ever wrote are those peak essays in Fang Numina. Okay. I mean, to me, that goes without saying. Some of the stuff in Thirst for Annihilation is quite amazing.
Yeah.
The Death of Sound Philosophy is one of the best things I've ever read. But I think if somebody was like, how do you actually get into Land's theory without all of the memes and the X posting and all that, read chapter 3 of Xenosystems.
Yeah, I think so.
And just reread it until you get what he's saying and what he's doing there. If you do that, you're tapped into the true, serious, theoretical Land, the one theorizing capital and AI, and that's my favorite Land.
Yeah, and then I would absolutely say read this chapter and then go read Thirst for Annihilation and then pick up Fang Numina and sit with Fang Numina for a while, because I think this is the most effective introduction and honestly primer to his universe. Like, because all this other stuff, it's happening, but it's not as like, no, this is it. This is Land's contribution. It's not the shit posts on Twitter. It's this.
Guys, the one thing, okay, hold on. So I think you can still get, this is the other copy of Xenosystems. I think it's cheaper, but I can just tell you guys, if it's more, just get this one.
Yeah.
This is the one you want, because it has a much better, the blog posts are organized better. It's just,
yeah, I need to get,
I mean, it's a great,
I need to get that
book,
edition,
like physically. So I recommend that. But well, hey, we didn't even think we were going to actually get to do this tonight. So fuck you,
Xfinity.
We did it. But this is probably the shortest exegetical we've ever done. So
yeah, dude.
So thanks for accelerating it, Xfinity. There you go.
That's it. We accelerated the process, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Do all the things, hit the buttons, and don't eat yellow snow. Also, probably don't eat red snow. That's probably fucked up too. So,
unless like somebody like poured lemon syrup.
Yeah.
Like,
but even then, like, go to a snow cone stand. Go buy some shaved ice.
Do those exist anymore? You know what? Make one.
Down here, they do, and you can get shaved ice probably 9 months out of the year down here, because it's so warm, and people always, when they're downtown walking around, people always want shaved ice. But yeah,
it's like 16 degrees here.
That's fucked up, dude.
So the perfect thing on an evening like this is a fucking snow cone.
Snow cone. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one.
Later.